that video. And now, it's chaos. Jim's out here throwing shade so heavy, even the Sun filed a complaint. Camron's playing ghost like he never heard of Instagram, while Chrissy's silence is louder than a Dipset anthem in 2003 and the internet. Oh, they're eating this up like it's a versus battle with beef on the menu. But here's what they didn't tell you: the betrayal didn't start with that video. It damn sure didn't end there. Because what just leaked might not just ruin a relationship, it could bury a whole legacy 6 feet under. So grab your tea, clutch your pearls, and don't even think about blinking. You're about to witness the ugliest fallout in hip-hop history. And trust me, this ain't no rap beef. This is family warfare. It started with a whisper, the faint familiar name floating through the digital smog of gossip blogs and burner accounts. Chrissy. As in ChrissyLampkin. As in the woman Jim Jones practically put on a pedestal. Harlem's ride-or-die queen. The reason behind so many LoveAndHipHop anthems and one very public, very rocky engagement? But this time, Chrissy wasn't trending for her fashion sense or her infamous sidees. No, she was trending because someone real close dropped a bombshell video. One that had Harlem in shambles, Dipset fans foaming at the mouth, and Jim Jones ready to set fire to every bridge he ever built. And who do people think lit the fuse? None other than Camron, Sturkila Cam, Mr. Pink Mink himself. It's the man who once called Jim his brother, his partner in rhyme, the co-founder of an era. If you grew up anywhere near Harlem in the early 2000s, you already know Dipset wasn't just a rap group. It was a movement, a religion. And Jim and Cam were the pastors leading the congregation. So when the streets started buzzing that Cam might have been the one to leak an intimate video of Chrissy, a private moment never meant for public eyes, it wasn't just scandalous, it was sacrilegious. Jim Jones didn't just react. He detonated. One cryptic Instagram story, black background, 3 words, "I see you." And Harlem saw him back. Because when Jim speaks in code, the streets know how to read it. It wasn't long before the blogs started pulling receipts, connecting timelines, and reposting old photos of Jim and Cam cheesing side by side at the ROC Nation brunch just weeks before the storm hit. That's what made it all so disgusting. They had just been smiling together like a Dipset reunion was on the horizon, like Harlem royalty was about to be restored. But behind those designer shades and fake laughs, somebody was holding a knife. And the public's verdict came in fast. Camron was the one twisting it. Suddenly, every platform lit up. Twitter spaces packed out. Clubhouse rooms turned into war zones. TikTokers made explicable videos. Reaction channels flooded the algorithm. Everyone had an opinion, but the facts, they were murky. What exactly was in the video? Who filmed it? And how the hell did it get out? According to some alleged insiders, the kind of anonymous folks who suddenly know everything once drama hits, the footage came from an old hard drive, dusty archive from the early Dipset days, back when everything was recorded, backed up, and buried. That drive, they say, was only ever in the hands of a select few. So if it made its way online now, someone wanted it there, and that someone had access. But why? Why would Cam, the man who once put Jim on, torch their entire legacy over a 90-second clip? The theories piled up fast. Some said jealousy, that Cam had always resented Jim's newfound fame in reality TV and business, while his own star dimmed. Others said revenge, that Jim had made power moves behind Cam's back for years, cutting him out of money, spotlight, and deals. There's even talk of a long-standing grudge Cam held against Chrissy herself, dating back to when she allegedly pulled Jim away from the streets and into the domestic life Cam always mocked. Some folks remember the barbershop talk, Cam allegedly calling Chrissy a distraction, saying she softened Jim's edge. Word was, Cam thought she was running the Trempt show behind the scenes, pulling Jim away from the mission. But even if that's true, how do you justify dropping something so private? So damaging and so clearly designed to humiliate not just Chrissy, but Jim. Some call it a chess move. Others call it a war crime. And then there's the text messages. Oh yes, because just when you thought this drama peaked, someone leaked what appeared to be conversations between Cam and an industry go-between. And these weren't casual chats. They were cold, calculated, ruthless. Messages allegedly showing Cam planning not just a leak, but a takedown. A full-blown blueprint for Jim's public execution. One line sent shockwaves across social media. The right filth will break him. Smash his queen. Drain his bag, split his fan base, watch him crawl. That ain't beef. That's scorched earth. That's nuclear. If even half of those texts are real, then this wasn't just about a video. This was about annihilating everything Jim Jones stood for: his brand, his fans, and his woman. Jim wasn't having it. He went live on Instagram within hours of the video going viral. No PR team, no filters, just raw rage pouring through the phone. "You don't touch my family," he snapped. "You don't drag my woman like that and call it business. That wasn't no accident. That was a bullet. And I know exactly who pulled the trigger." He didn't have to say Cam's name. The internet screamed it for him. And just like that, a brotherhood that shaped Harlem's sound got reduced to viral clips, conspiracy threads, and digital warfare. Jim kept going. In that live, he dropped years of pent-up shade. Talked about being cut out of deals, about being played like a pawn, about being the heartbeat of Dipset while someone else played king. "Y'all forget," he said. "This same dude who robbed me of my tour, cut back in 2011, told labels I was unstable. And now this. You a clown in a crown, Cam. A whole clown." The comment section exploded. Fans split into camps. Team Jim, Team Cam, Team throw the whole Dipset away. And the craziest part? Cam stayed silent. Not a single response. No denial, no counterattack. Just radio silence. And that's when people really started side-eyeing. It's because in this era of instant clapbacks and digital duels, silence isn't peace, it's guilt. Or worse, it's strategy. Maybe Cam wasn't hiding. Maybe he was watching it all burn from a distance, knowing the job was already done. But Harlem wasn't done talking. As the smoke from the initial leak started to fade, new whispers rose from the ashes. That maybe this wasn't just Cam versus Jim. Maybe there was a third player behind the scenes. Someone pulling strings. A puppet master. An old associate from the Dipset hustle days who allegedly kept ties with both camps. Rumors say this shadowy figure had access, influence, and a motive. Clout and cash. Allegedly, this person sold the footage, stirred the drama, and offered reunion deals behind closed doors just to keep the pot boiling. Because the more they fought, the more the public watched. And the more the public watched, the more money poured into those shady blog pockets. Now, the question was no longer who leaked the tape, it was who benefited the most from the explosion. Jim, meanwhile, was bleeding emotionally, publicly, and maybe even financially. His name was tangled in scandal. Chrissy's dignity was shredded, and every major platform was milking the story. But this saga wasn't done yet, because just when Jim thought he had nothing left to lose, the next blow came out of nowhere, and it was about to take this feud into even darker territory. No tweet, no denial, just that cold, eerie calm you get before a hurricane hits. And people were starting to wonder, maybe this wasn't just beef. Maybe Cam was letting it play out because he wanted Jim to drown. Meanwhile, Chrissy moved like a queen. In a storm, no interviews, no meltdown. It's just one icy Instagram move. Unfollowed Cam, scrubbed their photos. Posted a black and white story that simply said, "Some wounds never heal." No tag. No caption. But everyone knew who it was aimed at. And with that, Chrissy said more in 6 words than a press conference ever could. She wasn't just heartbroken, she was done. Public reaction was an avalanche. Fans who once screamed Dipset for life were now lighting their Dipset merch on fire. Some defended Cam, saying Jim had it coming. Others declared Cam a traitor with no code. The streets, for so long united by the eagle logo, had become a war zone. Every Twitter space, every comment thread, every reaction video was a battlefield. People digging up old interviews, decoding every lyric like they were on a CIA mission. Remember that one freestyle from 2013 where Cam said, "Some brothers switch sides when the money thick"? Fans pulled that line like it was a prophecy. Others started posting clips from Love and Hip Hop where Chrissy shaded Cam for being too involved in Jim's personal life. Old footage resurfaced, new narratives emerged. What was once considered a misunderstanding now looked like a long-brewing vendetta finally unleashed. But the ugliest part wasn't just the drama, it was the money trail. Sponsors started backing out, deals dried up. Rumors swirled that Jim lost a six-figure brand partnership overnight because his name was now attached to scandal. Meanwhile, Cam's comeback tour quietly canceled. Promoters ghosted him like he had the plague. One event manager even posted a cryptic tweet that read, "Not touching that fire. Harlem got too many ghosts right now." Behind the scenes, lawyers began circling like vultures. Word spread that Jim had slapped Cam with a defamation notice. Legal documents accusing him of malicious slander, reputational sabotage, and emotional distress over the leaked video. Jim's team leaked to the press that they were seeking damages in the millions and demanding a public apology. But Cam wasn't folding. In fact, he clapped back, not publicly, but legally. His team allegedly filed a countersuit, claiming Jim had been exploiting the Dipset brand for years, funneling profits and cutting backroom deals behind Cam's back. The paperwork was flying in both directions, like missiles. And what was once hip-hop history was now a courtroom circus. It wasn't just about respect anymore, it was about legacy, ownership, and cash. And as fans watched two legends drag each other into legal hell, the heartbreak became palpable. The same people who grew up blasting Dipset from their cracked iPods were now watching the empire burn, live streamed in 4K. But it didn't stop there. New whispers claimed the Chrissy video was just one file in a vault, a digital time capsule of dirt collected over the years. Allegedly, someone, maybe the same puppet master stirring this drama, had access to more screenshots, old voicemails, tour footage, never meant to see daylight. And they were threatening to leak it all if the feud didn't generate enough clicks. This wasn't just personal anymore, it was profitable. Every fight between Jim and Cam was now content that paid, and someone was getting rich off the ashes. And while the internet fought over who betrayed who, one theory started gaining traction that neither Cam nor Jim were truly in control anymore. That someone smarter, colder, and quieter had weaponized their history, their egos, and their us, and their pain to create the perfect viral scandal. Dipset's downfall wasn't just a tragedy, it was a product launch. The Puppet Master, as fans dubbed him, allegedly approached both camps with hush deals, reunion pitches, and private streaming. Offers if they played ball, he'd bury the leaks. But if they refused, he'd let the mess flow until the brand was too toxic to touch. And from the looks of it, someone refused. Because this feud just kept getting uglier. By the time the dust had halfway settled, even media outlets who once praised Dipset's influence were now writing think pieces with titles like When Brotherhood Becomes Brand War and The Rise and Ruin of Harlem Royalty. The public didn't just lose respect, they lost nostalgia. Dipset was supposed to be forever. But now it was just another cautionary tale, a bloated wreck of ego, betrayal, and viral shame. Jim's fans were devastated, Cam's loyalists were defensive, Chrissy's supporters were furious. and the industry watched from a distance, slowly backing away like a crowd watching a building collapse. In private circles, managers warned new artists to steer clear. A brand once associated with hustle and Harlem pride had become the poster child for self-destruction. But somehow it wasn't over. Because just when both sides thought the courtroom would settle things, a new leak hit. And this time, it didn't just expose the past, it threatened their future. Fans started drawing the lines. The puppet master theory gained more steam. And now people were wondering, did Cam drop the footage to shift the heat before the financial mess came out? Because timing never lies. And just days after the financial receipts hit Twitter, Cam finally broke his silence. Not with an apology, not with a denial, but with a single tweet that read, "Truth stings. Deal with it." That's it. No follow-up, no clarification. It's just that one cold line, and the internet lost its mind. Jim clapped back with another explosive. Live, pacing in what looked like a studio, clearly heated. "Deal with it. Deal with what, bro? You stole. You lied. And you dragged my lady to cover your tracks. This ain't brotherhood. This ain't family. This is Judas in Harlem." That line alone sparked 1,000 memes. Judas in Harlem. Fans were ready to print it on t-shirts. Meanwhile, industry folks stayed quiet, but they were watching. Word started circulating that both Jim and Cam were quietly being dropped from projects. One fashion collab folded without warning. A Netflix docuseries that was allegedly in the works? Gone. One insider said they'd become too messy. No one wants to touch it now. It's toxic. And the irony. All this chaos started with one single leak, one video, one betrayal. But now it had mutated into full-on carnage. Labels stopped calling. Sponsors started ghosting, the legal fees were stacking up, and the lawyers, they weren't playing. Jim's legal team issued a formal subpoena to multiple media outlets demanding access logs to trace the original leak. They weren't just suing Cam anymore, they were trying to trace every digital fingerprint. Cam's side, in response, filed a gag order, trying to stop Jim from making public statements that could harm his reputation further. It was messy, it was brutal, it was happening in real time, right in front of millions. But here's the plot twist no one saw coming, Chrissy. The woman in the middle of all of this, the one who was supposedly just collateral damage, she wasn't staying quiet anymore. In a sit-down interview that aired online with barely any promotion, but instantly racked up 500,000 views, Chrissy broke her silence. She didn't cry, she didn't scream, she didn't even flinch. Calm, controlled. "Cold. I knew that video existed," she said. "I told Jim years ago it needed to be destroyed. He said it was safe. But in this business, nothing's ever safe." The interviewer asked her directly if she thought Cam leaked it. Chrissy paused, then said, "Let's just say it didn't surprise me." The internet froze. That one sentence hit harder than any diss track. Because it wasn't denial, it wasn't confirmation. It was worse. It was expectation. Like she saw this betrayal coming a mile away. And that's when the fan theories exploded. Was Chrissy playing a longer game than anyone knew? Was she pressuring Jim behind the scenes to choose a side, to finally sever the Camron cord once and for all? Some fans believed Chrissy had seen the writing on the wall for years and waited for the perfect moment to let the public in on the dysfunction. Others said she was just surviving the fallout the best way she could. But either way, she wasn't hiding anymore. She was stepping into the light, and Harlem was watching. Meanwhile, the damage was done. Dipset, once the most iconic crew in Harlem history, was now reduced to a war of receipts, leaks, lawsuits, and cryptic subtweets. And fans were disillusioned. The same kids who rocked matching bandanas and screamed "Ballin" from their mom's basement now felt like They'd been watching a script this whole time, and the curtain had finally dropped. The group chat screenshots kept leaking. More clips surfaced, even DMs from old managers and assistants who had stories to tell. Everyone had a side. Everyone had a version. But the truth was lost in the noise. One thing, though, was undeniable: the damage wasn't reversible. Jim and Cam didn't just fall out, they scorched everything around them. And while they were at war, someone else, maybe the puppet master, maybe just the chaos itself, was cashing in. Podcast. Views up, blog traffic through the roof. Advertisers lapping up the attention. What started as a brotherhood had become a spectacle. And the last piece of the tragedy? The fans who kept the Dipset dream alive were the ones left holding the ashes. One viral video showed a lifelong fan in tears holding up an old Dipset mixtape, like it was a relic from a dead religion. "This ain't what we stood for," he said. "This ain't Harlem." And maybe that's the final gut punch. That for all the money, fame, and clout, the only thing that really got destroyed here wasn't a video or a tour. It was trust. Jim and Cam might survive the lawsuits. They might bounce back with new music. They might even fake a reunion. Someday. But the magic? That unshakable Harlem unity that once ruled the streets? That's gone